Remember, whatever discipline you're in, whether you're a musician or a photographer, a fine artist or a cartoonist, a writer, a dancer, singer, a designer, this is what you should do. Make good art.
This is Creative Soul coming back with our new session in April with our lovely guests from Seungniho Space Sweepers, Rahel and Max.
Welcome.
Yay.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks.
So for those of you who are listening to our podcast for the first time, Creative Soul is an interactive community of creative individuals living in Seoul with our mission statement to inspire. For those on Instagram Live, please feel free to ask questions directly by typing your comments or questions into our live chat. Also, feel free to emote using encouraging facial expressions in the chat. So I'm Sian, the moderator for today and co-founder of Creative Soul, and Jack.
I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Fame Creators Network and a fellow actor. Very nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
So can the guests also introduce yourselves to the people on live?
Sure. My name is Rahel, and I've been in Seoul for a few years, and suddenly I'm doing acting and modeling, and I came as a musician, basically, as a traveler. So nice to be here.
Very nice. Very nice.
My name is Massimo. Many people could just call me Max. I'm originally Italian, and I came to Korea for my PhD in computer science. Doesn't sound very creative, and I would understand it. In fact, probably I'm the least creative person in this room, but I stumbled upon the chance of acting when they were looking for an Italian-speaking person for a drama. Oh. And then I had the chance to participate in Seungniho with Rahel.
So that's when you two first met?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
It seems like for both Rahel and Max as well, Rahel, you came to Korea in 2018, right?
Did I come in 2018? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, July 2018. Yeah.
So for both of you guys, it seems like the acting career wasn't like the main purpose, but then like you kind of by coincidence, fortunately got into this acting as well. So how's it like in Korea, in Seoul?
Well,
you could go ahead. I'll go after.
I've been in Korea since 2007. I've been living in Daegu first.
Oh, I was born in Daegu.
Oh, well, yeah. So I studied in Gyeongbuk National University. So I got my PhD there, got married, lived near Daegu for a while, and then moved in Seoul a few years ago. I find, Seoul to be very, extremely dynamic. There are a lot of opportunities. It's somewhat hard, I think, to actually find the chances, even when you're looking as a foreigner. I've been lucky in that a friend of ours advised me of this chance. They were looking for someone speaking Italian. Otherwise, I would have never thought that there was any interest in foreign actors or either dramas or movies.
Tell me a little bit more about that story. I'm curious to hear because we all have a version of that story, but I'd love to hear that. How did that happen?
Right. So the person I'm talking about is Henny Savenaj, and he's been in many dramas and
most
movies.
of us know Henny,
right,
in some way.
And so he auditioned for the part, but he said, I actually don't have the time to do it, so why don't you try? And I met Henny thanks to my wife and her activities. Well, that's it, basically. And then I participated in a drama and then did the audition for Seungniho.
Very cool. Rahel, what about you? What's your story?
Well, I actually, I'm an older person. I'm going to be 67 in July. So when I came, I guess I was 64 or something like that. But my children were all grown up and everything. I was kind of doing nothing at this point in America. And I wanted to get a taste of that freedom I used to have when I was 20. So my kids all said, with their blessing, they said, "Go ahead, Mom, just go have your adventure." So I wanted to see this side of the world because I'd seen, other places in the world. I've lived in Israel. I'm dual citizen in Israel as well. And so I set out as a traveler just to, to feel free spirit again. So when I got to Korea, I ended up in Busan, which I love, absolutely love. And I was doing language exchange, working in a language exchange situation there, and busking on the beach at Hyundai, which I absolutely loved. And I just started to love Korea. And my travels got stopped and I needed to get a visa. I started looking for work and I didn't have the proper visa, so I needed to get the proper visa. And somebody referred me to an agency, and I suddenly became an actor and a model and kind of a musician still. And then actually Singri Ho was my first movie and my second shoot once I got the visa. So my first shoot was like, I felt like I was a celebrity, I was, it was the whole hog, 2 days. It was for a Taiwanese singer named Wu Tsing-feng. And he had come to Korea to do his music video, and we were treated like royalty. I mean, I thought, well, we got into the van and they took us, the whole thing. So Singli Ho was my second shoot. And it was a good experience. It was the first time doing a movie. So for me, I had always watched behind the scenes, and I always thought that was really thrilling. And there I was, like, actually being able to see it all in person. So for me, even though it was long hours, every shoot, you guys know, are very long hours. And but for me, it was very thrilling. And we had our stunt training.
Right.
Oh, I saw the video.
Yeah.
Stunt training, yeah.
Stunt training is fun and dangerous. It can be dangerous. I personally have stitches from the last stunt training I did.
Really?
It was all my fault, but good times.
Wow.
Yeah. Beware of flying weaponry at all times when you're training for stunts.
Yeah, I learned that too. Getting shot was an experience.
I saw the YouTube channel that you was on, Rahel, and like it was so inspiring for me when I was listening to it, because you were like, oh, you planned on traveling for a couple of years, so you sold the house right away, and then you came to this whole new place, whole new country, and I really think that's for some people it's really hard to make even like a small decision.
True.
Yeah. So like, how did you get into music?
Oh, well, I think, there's things that you just are. You just innately born with some, maybe leaning towards one thing or another. You may be sciences and I'm maybe arts or something, but I think music was always in my life, really, from my mother and my father, and it was always in the house. My mother sat me down at a piano at a young age, and then I went on in school. I was always learning some instrument or other, and it was just sort of, I remember when I was in college, it was the first time I met somebody who didn't have music in their life, and I was like, how can that be? I don't understand, how do you not have music, It was just always there. And so I've done music in many capacities. I was, when I was in Israel, I really specialized in music for babies and young children, which was great. I had Mommy and Me classes, things like that. Later on, when I went back to America, I was interested in healthcare. So I changed and got certified as a therapeutic musician. Doing singing for people in hospices and hospitals who were sick and ill and dying. And I actually love that work and would do it now, but I don't have language, so I need to, improve my language. And performing and busking is my most favorite thing in the world to do. I meet awesome people and just always been there. It's just, it's just something that you are, you are that person. It's just what you do, or you are. Or it's like I have my guitar. It's like I have another arm or something, I don't know what to do when I don't have it.
I have so much respect for buskers because it's, one of those things you're either playing for yourself or you could possibly be playing for a crowd of 100 people at any random moment, at any given moment. Busking takes a lot of nerve, and it can be crazy.
I don't know. I just like the atmosphere because I don't have to worry about having a performance, perfecting something or making a mistake. I just go with the flow, and I meet so many good people. And what actually surprises me when I'm busking is how many people come up and say, "Hey, can I sing?" Like, well, wait a minute. I'm here singing, and it's kind of my show. But no, yeah, that's okay. Sure, come on up and sing. And then I've met a lot of people that way, and formed duos and trios and bands that way. So it's actually quite nice.
Let me sing.
And what?
Let me sing.
Let me sing. But you said you're not creative, and I think people in the sciences think they're not creative. Or you don't think science is creativity, but I think it's super creative.
It's probably not creative in the most traditional artsy sense.
Really?
Well, actually, one of our members, Ray, said this, and I really liked it. So, computer science is incredibly creative. You are literally creating a new world and a language and culture with it. And I think that, I don't think you should not call yourself creative. You are quite creative.
I agree. I think everybody's got some creative sense in them, and the arts are not the only thing that should be considered creative.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And also, on that note, hi to everybody out there. Just want to make sure that if you would like to ask any questions for our guests or make any comments, please feel free to do so in the chat. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, if I may, regarding singing, I was...
You're going to sing for us?
No. I looked at the past snippets that you posted from Instagram. I noted that you interviewed Schizo before, who happened to be, a friend of mine in Kyompukdeakyo.
Jack
Very
was
nice.
the moderator for that session.
Yeah, I've known Schizo for a long, long time, almost since I've been here, for the 11 years I've been here. So I want to ask a question, like as, it seems like neither of you have a background in acting, right? So you weren't trained actors before you started this whole adventure. What was it like being on your first movie set? There are so many other actors there. Some of them already have training. Some of them are, so deep into, we have pros like my friend who's here, Joey Albright, right? He's been doing this for a long, long time, works really hard at it. But then when you are on your first movie set as somebody who hasn't really put the time into to really train, what is it like? Like, what was that feeling for you? Were you intimidated at all? Were you still just so excited? How did you feel about it?
Well, I actually did some acting in Israel, and it was maybe 30 years ago already. But
okay.
So I had a little bit of training, but mostly in children's theater and improvisational theater. So this was very different. With children's theater, you have to be very big and large and loud, and and improvisation, you just go with the flow.
Improv is another world in itself.
I love it.
Wow.
Love it. But it was many years ago, and I was focusing on music since. So being the question, what was it like? First of all, I love to be able to watch the actors, the professionals, because it's a form of education for me. And as I said, being behind the scenes is also, it's a way to learn. It's on-the-job training, really. And I get so much out of it. And especially watching the professionals, actors who were, really, I feel a little guilty as well being there, where they have much more experience and the training behind them. But on the other hand, I'm also learning. So I have full respect for, number one, the opportunity that I have to be able to do this. And number two, the opportunity to be with the professionals and keep going and keep learning, because I think even professionals are still learning.
Well, first of all, like Rahel, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity I had. I always wanted to act. I never got any chance nor training. Now I have a family, so I don't let myself do it, because it's unless I have this kind of escapades from my usual life. But what I found out was that I actually had in my mind an idea of what was going on, but they didn't provide us enough information. Right. As we were not, the main figures, and they were being extremely secretive about everything. And so we went into the scenes without a lot of clues on how we should have felt as those characters, what we were supposed, like we had a general idea, but we actually found out that we shot one of the most significant scenes in the first day, and we had absolutely no idea of how it related to the entirety of the story. And so everybody was expressing feelings that didn't really fit the situation. So I really wish that, we may be new to this, to the acting world, and we may not be experienced, but I wish that the producers learn that we are willing to put in as much effort as anybody else if they just trust us enough.
Right. Yeah, I remember that our team, and we were kind of a significant part of the movie as well.
Right.
But we had no idea. And maybe only, I think, two of our team knew what the whole story was, or three, including, Nas and Ana and Gabriel. Right. They had specific lines, and they were at some of the first readings, and they knew the story, but
they were not allowed to tell.
They were not allowed to tell us. Everything was very secretive, and we really didn't know how to. We didn't know who we were portraying, what our character or role was, and of course, if you don't know that, you don't know how you're supposed to play it. So, as Massimo said, that we didn't know what to express, how to express, and what they were looking for. So I remember we all came back, and there was another professional actress in our team.
Right, yes.
A Korean woman who was making a comeback after having a family. And I remember all of us were just kind of upset because we thought we didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
We thought we didn't give them what we could have given them, but nobody complained, so we figured it must be okay. But we ourselves were not happy with what we had produced. So in general, and I find that happens a lot actually. I don't know if that's just a Korean thing or if it's everywhere else, but many times you go to a shoot and you're not given enough details. And sometimes you'll get a script in advance. Sometimes you'll get something, do this on the spot or something. And it's very hard to actually give it your all and give your best when you don't have enough to go on. You don't have a basis to pull from. You don't know what you're doing, basically.
Is it like that in like drama shooting scenes as well? Or
yeah.
Well, I cannot speak for longer scenes because I've only done very short. Like I've done one day of shooting, and it was covering a couple of scenes in a couple of different episodes. But for that amount of time, I think I almost got more information there than for Sungnyo.
It really depends on who is producing, right? So, some directors are really, really open and they want to give as much information as possible. Some people really like to, as you experience, keep everything closed because they don't want the story to get out, and especially with, as the foreign actors in there, a lot of directors just simply don't trust us, They expect us to be on Instagram telling all of our friends, hey, this is where I am, this is what
which we
doing.
are.
And,
we are.
So, and then we end up giving the story away on accident. So I understand also why they decide to be a bit secretive. They kind of have to, but you should at least know enough to do your job well. Right. And so then if they are going to be that secretive, then it's up to the director to really communicate with you when you're there. Okay, this is what I need from you. Right. That's what proper directors would do. But in a film like Sungnyo where there's so many moving parts, the directors quite often, and I wasn't there, so I don't know your experience, but they don't have enough attention to give to each piece that they should give to, right? They should give the proper amount of attention to. And so they end up spreading it, and then this AD runs here and tells you this, and this AD tells you that, and the writers coming and correcting this and that, and there's just so many people that it just ends up being a big mess.
Well, I do want to give credit to the assistant director, who after she heard our complaints, she did come and she started to explain everything to us during the breaks and what was expected, and she told us the story. She really put a good effort to put us in the know once we were there. So
right.
Yeah, we really appreciated that.
It was that was actually helped a lot because after the first scene, we were like, "What are we doing here?" And then we got more information, and everything went at least better. I wouldn't say it was 100%, but we had an idea of who we were and what we were doing. So
we heard the story. We were able to hear the story, the plot, and so it made a big difference.
Ray asked basically how much of that miscommunication do you think happened because of language barrier? Was there one, or were there enough English speakers?
Well, I don't think it was a lot of a language barrier for once, because the AD spoke pretty good English. There was a Korean actress with us who spoke decent English. Gabrielle speaks better Korean than I do, and I speak Korean pretty decently. So among the few of us, I don't think there was any communication problem. It was mostly a secrecy issue. Mm-hmm. They were not willing to give us at first all the information necessary, probably because they thought, even though our part was relatively big, we didn't have a lot of lines. Most of us never talked during the movie. So probably they said, whatever, we'll cut it out. We'll cut here, edit there, and we will figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still learning Korean. My Korean is very basic, and at the time it was next to nothing. And with the help of the other team members, that really helped me. And some of the assistant director and some other of our agents who were there assigned to us. They usually have somebody assigned who's going to help you. For me, I think there was only one time when I remember that I didn't get the message, and we had to make our eyes look a certain direction. And I don't know if you remember, they're going, Rahel, Rahel, Rahel. And I was like, oh my God, I'm blowing it. But sometimes there is a language problem. Yeah, and there is English and there is basic Korean and basic English. But sometimes something more detailed, what they're looking for, is sometimes hard to communicate.
Yeah, in that sense, I think a good advice for anybody who wants to act in Korea, not in Korean, is to learn Korean, because even if you don't actually act in Korean, but you need the language to avoid this kind of issues.
That is wonderful advice, and I want to actually second that for anybody out there who's willing to take the step to get into the Korean acting business at all. I believe it should be almost a prerequisite. Please learn Korean, to at least to a point where you can communicate with the ADs and they can explain to you what it is that they want without having to have somebody else in between, because things often get lost in translation.
Yeah.
We might assume we're doing what they're asking us to do, and then at the end of the day, they wanted us to do something totally different, and there's nobody to blame but ourselves.
Right.
So,
the AD being the artistic director, for those who, but yeah, I mean, I do find difficulty sometimes now because my Korean is so bad.
Korean is one of the most hardest languages to learn.
Korean is very difficult, and I am trying and I'm working on it, but it's slow coming. It's not that I do speak another language, so I know how to learn another language, but Korean is something all of its own. But I think also, when you speak other language, and you're very good, you already speak many languages. Max, speaks a lot of languages, but there's also a cultural thing and a thought process that goes with language.
Oh, yeah.
That even if you have the words, the idea may not be conveyed so easily. So you really have to, in Korea, when you're a guest here and you're working in this field in acting, you really have to know more than just the language as well. Mm-hmm. you need to, really be attentive. You need to be respectful. You need to, don't feel bad about asking questions too, just so you could get it right. So I think there's a lot that goes into that. Some people say, make a sad expression or make a happy expression, but then they don't want that particular one. Oh no, not that. So it's not just the words.
Yeah,
that you need to.
Even sadness or happiness has so many different facial and body expressions that go with it.
That's right.
Unless you know exactly what they're looking for, it's...
But I think somebody, it was Gabrielle, Gabrielle, thanks for that advice, who said, if the director was happy, then you're happy. Don't question it. You did the right thing.
Right.
Do you have anything that you wish you knew before you started an acting career in Korea?
Well, I wish I knew there was the chance, because maybe I would have, tried harder to get into acting a little earlier. And another piece of advice, even when you go to auditions, shave. They don't like beards. And
hey, what are you trying to say? Man? Come on.
I'll remember that. I think I just recently went to some auditions, and I think I did everything wrong that you could have done. When I first went to audition for this movie, I really was clueless. I didn't really even know I was going to an audition. So I was like, okay, this is fun, But this recent audition I went to, I was really nervous, and I just couldn't, because I knew what I was doing, and then it went really bad. I mean, I don't know if it went bad or not, but I felt it went bad. And I think, what was I going to say? That if I wish I knew something before, I think I wish I knew Korean language before. I wish I did study before I came to Korea, but I obviously need to know a lot more to be able to communicate. So I wish I had known more basic Korean, more fluent.
In that sense,
Fluency,
I think the fact that I came to Korea as a student gave me a big boost, because I was able to take language courses during my PhD in university. And also, when all the Korean friends around me were trying to speak in English, I kept speaking in Korean, in my broken Korean, and tried to, I think there's one part of learning a foreign language, whether it's Korean or any other language, that is extremely tied to social relationships and everyday life, and you have to force yourself into it. A lot of people I know, maybe they try learning Korean, but they find it too hard, or they get enough with English that they don't feel like they need to push themselves as hard. And so they end up never actually learning. They are stuck in that, beginner level where they know how to say hello or can please give me that, but nothing more.
I think also another thing that I learned recently about working in acting here with the films and the dramas and things like that, it's really exciting when you find yourself with the celebrities. And I think with Sing Lee Ho, I was pretty sure we weren't going to see any celebrities, that they would be filmed separately, sort of like a Hollywood thing or something. And I remember the first time I saw Song Joong-ki just sitting there, I thought, well, that's not him. Couldn't be him. Maybe just stand-in or something like that. And then he went and did a shoot and came back, and I saw him on the monitor. Oh, that's him. Really him. And we were, really face to face with the actress. And
very menacing.
Very menacing. And also, I've been in some other ones where you're face to face, and my natural tendency is to want to say, hey, I really like your acting or something like that, to talk to them. And what I have realized since, when I'm getting more training myself, that and we've been told, don't talk to the actors, because they're actually focusing and they're actually spending time trying to get their lines and their mode and whatever it is, their character, into their character, that whatever they need to do to prepare for their scene, they're actually involved in that. And if you come up and you start talking to them, they lose their focus. So I really didn't pay attention to that. And now I'm quite aware of that, even as myself getting more, maybe more detailed roles. So I realize how much of focus and concentration you really need to do that acting. You know, it's not a piece. You don't just come in and say, hey, you know, your lines come out and you do your thing. It's something you really have to work on.
And that's one of those, lot. That's one of those learning experiences that you talk about, right? On the job learning, right? Where, okay, when I go and I know I have to deliver my lines, you know, in a specific way. So, you know, you might practice your lines in your head or go in a corner somewhere and, you know, deliver your lines to yourself, or, you know, find a bathroom and recite your lines in the mirror. You know, this is the kind of thing that we do when we're preparing, you know, instead of being with our friends like, hey, so did you see the game yesterday? You know, or something like that, right? And then also what I would say is some actors, it's not even just that. Some actors are also afraid of English.
True. As much as afraid of we are as Korean, they're afraid of English.
Quite often it's that simple. You know, I was in one film with one actor that I've grown to know pretty well, and I found that out later. Why? You know, we asked him, so why did you eat lunch away from us? You know, because we were together for almost 3 months, and why did you eat lunch away from us? Why were we so separate? And he said, honestly, I was afraid because everybody else spoke English but me, and my English is poor. And I was a bit sad for him about that because, you know, with that, I told him, I said, you know, well, we would have been totally fine with that. Nobody expects you to speak perfect English with perfect diction. I don't even speak perfect English with perfect diction. So nobody expects that from you.
What is perfect English?
What is it?
British English, American English?
Exactly.
East Coast, West Coast, Texas?
There is no perfect English.
Right.
So...
And and some actors, everybody's just people, and some people everybody has a different way of finding their place and doing their job, and I think we need to be mindful and respectful of that when we're on the set. When we're extras, we're like, "Man, this is fun, woo!" And we're just socializing, but. You know, all around us, there's people, the crew, the staff.
That's right.
Everybody's doing their job and everybody's focused and they're working long, long hours.
That's right.
And they're tired. And I think that even as extras, I've seen a lot of extras being so disrespectful in general. And I think that's something that, you know, if I had to give some advice, I mean, I would just say, look, sit back and be quiet and let the people do their work and listen to what they tell you to do and don't joke around and crack. I mean, it's a really fun social experience. You're there long hours, but it's a serious work.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Work.
It's work.
And it's a job, right?
It's a job.
Maybe you know, bring a book or have some, you know, something to stream on your phone, whatever, to pass the time, because there's a lot of downtime. Lot of downtime. Sometimes you get in at like 6 a.m. for makeup and everything. You go on set and you wait the entire time until lunch, doing nothing but waiting. So there's a lot of downtime, but it's important to understand that, you know, you need to be there and be ready for whenever they call you.
And we're getting paid for that downtime.
You're getting paid for that, right?
We're getting paid to sit there and watch YouTube all day.
Yeah, it's your downtime, but it's not their downtime.
That's right. That's the key.
And you know, you may be sitting around, but they are working their butts off, and they work hard. Boy, do they work hard.
I remember one thing that I think caught you by how can I say, emotionally as well, not by surprise, but I was stunned. In one particular scene that was in which we were basically bystanders, but one of the actors who finally finds his daughter again, right? And it's a desperate scene, like of joy, and he had to shoot the same crying embrace a few times. At a certain point, he had to take a break.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, man, if I had to cry so many times in such a short time, you know, and force myself into that state of mind, at the end of the day, I would be broken.
That's why they get the big bucks, though.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, and that is another point. When you're shooting, you do the scene many times over because what they call a point of view. You know, they're taking the scene from the back, from the sides, from the front. Maybe they're doing a close-up. Maybe they're doing a far away. And every time you're just waiting there, and then they change the cameras. The camera people are changing around and changing the set. And you're just standing there and you're going, what the heck? You know, why are we just standing here? Well, there's a lot going on while you're just standing there.
That's right. That's right.
And you need to be aware of it. And those are the things that if you don't have any real training, and even if you've been trained maybe in school, until you get on the set, you don't really notice. You don't really know that stuff is going back. I don't know what they teach you in the school. Maybe they teach you about what the crew does, what everybody's job is. But, you know, you see that stuff when you're behind the scenes and when you're doing the shoot. And you just need to be aware of it. I mean, I don't know how many people who are listening or watching are aware of really the amount of work that goes into these things. Then you get called back to do a voiceover or something, and, you know, just...
And we filmed for how many days?
We shot for 6 days.
6 days. And when it comes down to the movies, I think it's less than a minute we have on screen. But, I mean, that's the amount of work that goes into 1 minute of production.
And those were 12 hour or more days.
Right.
You know, so think of how many hours went into that scene, which was only maybe 2 or 3 minutes, you know.
That's right. That's right. Every angle and, you know, every actor has their own, or every director has their own way to communicate to you, you know, what it is they want. So if you don't get it right, you still have to do it 8 more times, and then you have to do it another 8 more times from the other angle. And then, oh, your costume, there's something wrong with your costume, so let's fix that and shoot it again. Yeah, that's the world we're in. That's, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
I have only one complaint.
Oh,
only one?
Let's hear it.
Only one.
That's good.
I had one scene in which I had a headshot, and I nailed it. I know I nailed it because the cameramen were saying, "Oh, like he's about as good as a main actor," and they cut it off because it didn't fit in the fight flow.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in the fight scene because we had trained for that. We had two days of training, right, for those fight scenes, and when we saw it on the film, it was like I could hardly see it, you know.
Actually, a lot of that part was cut. I think.
A lot of that was cut, and you were doing so well with getting pushed and shoved. And
Actually, I got a good piece of advice from one of my seniors, and he told me, he's a Korean dude who's been in the industry for a long, long time, and he told me, Jack, you're getting paid to act. You're not getting paid to appear on screen. You're getting paid to act.
True.
So your job is to go on set, deliver your lines, and go home.
Right.
That's it. And now if you appear on screen, then it's a bonus.
Right.
But when I heard him say that, I didn't like that. I hated that. I fought that. It's like, no, I want to be in the movies. I want to be on the big screen. He was like, but that's not your job. That's the bonus. That's the icing on the cake.
Right.
And I didn't understand that until the last movie where our entire scene was cut out. That was painful to me because I worked so hard memorizing those lines and working hard, you know, to get everything just right. I shaved my beard, which I never do. And I was excited about it. And then I go to the premiere and everybody's ready and I see myself for that long. I said, wow. And that was painful to me until I remembered, oh, that's what he was talking about. Well, I did get paid for that. I got paid extra for that. Okay. And then I was able to let it go.
Yeah. It's a job.
It's a job. It's
Acting is a job. And that's, I think, you know, the painful reality of it. You know, you're so used to seeing celebrities and this and that.
Right.
And like I said, they're just people who are doing a job.
That's right.
And it's not all the glory it seems to be.
It takes a long time actually to get to that level, and for any amount of celebrities that there's 100, 1,000 times more actors and actresses that don't make it, even though they try as hard as they can. And sometimes it's not just about how well you act. It's also a matter of luck, finding the right connections at the right time. I really hope that, I would break through and I could give up on my programming career.
Programming career.
You're lucky, but you were working a lot during the shoot, so yeah. At least you had something to do. We were just sitting around watching everybody and playing with the young actress and having a good time. But but when your kids get older, you can go back and do it. Still. I mean, keep it going. You know, like I know. When I had my kids and they were little, I still kept doing my music in one way or another. I found ways to keep doing it, and so that when your kids grow up and you're sort of empty nest, as they say, you don't find yourself with nothing. You know, you still have that, and you can go forward again, but even deeper. You know,
right?
I mean, I think people who make it, who are really celebrities, have a really hard time having families, and you're either going to have family or you're going to have your career. I think that's my observation, but I don't know if that's true. You'd have to ask the big celebrities, but I mean,
I
with
think
all the divorces you see and everything else, I don't know if family goes with career so well.
I think it's true for everyone, not just celebrities. It's just that celebrities make it like it's even a more extreme because of the kind of life they have. But I mean, I can speak for myself and my family, and I know it's really hard unless there's, close family that you can ask favors to, unless there's social support for working, mothers and fathers. It's really, really hard.
I think couples where one is the performer and one is the manager also kind of work well. I always dreamed of having that.
Did you have any experience with the agencies that were there running the shoot? Like, did you?
Yeah.
Let me before you answer that. Just be mindful that we often work for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what experiences you're referring to. The only real thing I would mention, like, my contact has always been very polite.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful that they found me out and got me into the auditions. The only thing is that, and it was as much as my mistake as there was, a little bit being not entirely clear on their part, was that I didn't have a contract. So, they told me a sum, and it wasn't clear whether that sum would go entirely to me or would it split between me and them. Mm-hmm. And so in the end, I got less than I thought I would. But since I have a full-time job, I'm lucky enough. I was like, okay, I got my chance at shooting a movie, with Korean celebrities. I'm like, okay, who cares? I'm good. But if that's your only source of income, that's what you're betting on, absolutely make everything clear 100% and get a contract before you start shooting.
Were you surprised actually that contracts aren't standard in the business with, as an actor?
Well, I mean, I assumed that there would be a contract, but having never acted, I just said, okay, whatever. I don't know if I will ever act again. So, I just let it go. And obviously contracts there's no standard contract because every actor is paid a different amount depending on, their career. But yeah, definitely that's something to look out for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that I was very new in Korea, and I'm still new in Korea and to the industry and how it works. But from what I understand and from experience, everybody's having a different experience. Every agency is different. There's nothing standardized, which is a problem, especially for foreigners. We need to know standard prices, standard fees, payment dates, contracts. I also didn't have a contract at that time. And many times I am not offered a contract unless it's usually by a company. I'm doing a commercial for a company or something, or a photo shoot or something, and then they want to use your image. But for the acting, I have not yet, for the most part, had a contract. And I think that's the one thing that would help us a lot. in our careers here, especially as foreigners. I don't know how it works for Koreans, but if we could have some kind of between the agents and the actor, the talent should have a standard listing of what's expected and what we should be paid, and then you can negotiate from there, either more or less or however you want to. I think one good piece of advice I got was that, you need to decide for yourself what you're worth. What's your worth? And since there's no standards, really, I mean, we try, generally speaking, there's a sort of an understood standard pay, but nothing's in writing. Nothing seems to be. If there is, I'd like to know about it. But I think that you should decide what you're worth and negotiate what you feel comfortable with, whatever it be it a lower or a high pay, whatever you feel is right for you as your self-worth, and then negotiate that with your agent. You, as freelancers, we work with many different agents and agencies, and some are better, some are worse. Everybody's sort of a free-for-all here. And I think it would be very helpful to everybody if there was some kind of standardized listing that everybody had some baseline that we all had to adhere to, and then work from there.
Well, I'm kind of curious, how do you get to know those agencies at the very beginning, when you're first starting an acting career? Because if you're a real beginner, then it's really likely that you don't have any connections to this acting world and all that. Then how did all of you guys kind of get to know the agencies? And or is there a community?
As I said, when I first decided to stay in Korea, after I'd been a tourist a couple of times and my tourism limits were up, I did go looking for a job, and in the process of looking for the job, I was referred to an agency. So that's how I got to mine. I see sometimes many people wanting to come to Korea who advertise on Facebook or Craigslist, say, can anybody recommend me? Who to turn to? How do I go about this? And they're looking for advice. I don't know how it worked for you.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it was through a friend. But these days, I think if you look for, foreign actor agencies on either Facebook or even Google or Naver, you will probably find something. And I haven't been looking into it anymore, again, because I have another job. So that's like of a side gig for me. I would like to do it more, but I have debts and everything, so I cannot afford to to go about without a steady salary. But definitely you can find something if you look.
Or they'll find you.
Or they'll find you if you you have Korean friends and you start saying, hey, I would like to start acting. Do you have a friend that can tell me something about it? And probably you will get to it somehow.
So many messages in Instagram, random messages like, hey, are you interested in being in a TV show or a movie?
Right.
Send me your profile, or,
Yeah, I think Instagram is like your resume. It's like your profile page in Korea. Exactly. You need to have a proper Instagram account. I've gotten many jobs through Instagram, mostly, and then referrals.
I don't, and that's why I'm not getting any more parts.
I read somewhere you said you're a 95% computer programmer and 5% actor.
I said 5%. I mean, it's probably like 2 or 3%. I would like to
see, and Instagram would get that 2% to a quick 5% if you had it.
Okay, then I should do it.
Now, before we get off the subject of agencies, and I promise I won't harp on it for anybody out there who knows me and knows how I think. I did want to say, I wanted to ask rather, what do you think? I've felt that the atmosphere is very different here in the relationship of actor and agent. For example, coming from the States, your agent works for you, right? So you hire your agent and you give him a percentage of whatever the total pay is. Here, it's the reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that exactly. It's exactly the opposite. When I thought I've got an agent and a management, I thought they're going to get me jobs. They get me work. It doesn't work like that. They don't hardly get you any jobs. They get a nice commission, well, I don't know if it's a nice commission, but they get a commission. And
keyword, I don't know. You don't know what the commissions are, what the payments are.
I know what I pay them, but I don't know what they're getting from any other, jobs or whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They may be getting a lot and paying me a little. I don't know, but whatever I get, they get a percentage of. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I thought they were going to manage me, find me work and it's really the opposite. Mm-hmm. I manage myself and I have to pay them for that.
That's right.
And and every now and then I have to remind myself, wait, they're working for me. Shouldn't I be calling the shots here? But it doesn't work that way. Yeah. So yeah, I thought you have an agency, then, you're going to do it. And what you were saying about making a living, I mean, if you really want to make a living in acting or the arts here, forget it. I mean, it was going okay before COVID, before coronavirus. There was kind of steady work. But for me, whoever's looking at, older gray-haired woman, there aren't many, I don't have a lot of competition. So when they are looking for that kind of a role, it'll be me or somebody else, but there aren't too many somebody else's to choose from. In Massimo's case or with the younger actors, they have a lot of competition. So, unless they're looking for a specific look or specific language, it's going to be difficult to get the work. And you need to really work at it 24/7. Not just here. I mean, I worked in the States, where I worked in Israel, as an independent, self-employed freelancer. You're working 24/7, working all the time, being visible, looking for jobs, applying for jobs, auditioning. I mean, you're just doing it all the time. It's part of your life. It's who you are. And you don't always have what to live on. You need to kind of like the squirrels, or the, play, just sort of collect what you can when you got the work. And when you don't have the work, you're living off that, what you got when you had the work. So it comes and goes. It's not always there. So I don't think you should, if you're going to go into this line of work anywhere, probably in the world, I can't speak for everybody, but I think that you need to be prepared to have some other source of income or just, well, I was told some good advice, but some very difficult advice to follow is don't have the plan B. Give up the day job. And when you don't have money to fall back on, it's very difficult. But if you always have your plan B, you're never going to move into your profession.
Yeah.
You're not going to do the work.
I think that's perfectly reasonable when, you're alone.
Yeah.
It's when harder when you have family.
Definitely.
I agree.
Well, it's not easy to be in a different country than your native country and to try and learn how to live in that country. And I feel like I'm always aware of the fact that I'm a guest here and that I'm still learning how to be in Korea, how to live in this country. And so, number one, I'm really grateful for the fact that I have this opportunity, that Korea has embraced me in a very positive way. I've been really given good opportunities and supported for that. It's not regular, it's not consistent, but it's there. And where I know that if in America and Israel, where I was living, I don't think at my age people are retiring and expected to sit around and twiddle their thumbs. They don't think that they're going to start a new career. And for me, it's like a new career at this end of life, which is really exciting. And Korea gave that to me. So I'm grateful and appreciative of every opportunity I get. I only wish there were more. I hope the coronavirus can leave us so that, work will become more consistent again.
Did you see the comments on your video on YouTube, like comments by Koreans? I captured some comments and they were mostly those students living in Korea. It's in Korean. I'll just translate it for you. A lot of comments were involved, oh, I really envy you.
Oh, yes.
And I really like this one. OMG, you are living a life whereas you're living a life of whereas a lot of people might envy, and I really want to learn that passion. So I was checking all the comments on the YouTube, and I really thought the same, because it's kind of hard to have a passion. It's easy to have a passion once, but then it's kind of really difficult to continue that like consistently.
Yeah, I did see a lot of those. I see a lot of those comments, and it kind of makes me feel funny because like I think my whole life I've always just gone after what I had an interest in. I was never kind of, I thought everybody said, oh, you should what's the matter with you? You should get a regular job. It's your own fault that you don't have any money or something, And I said, but I can't live any other way. I have to do what I love. I have to follow what I'm interested in. And I always have. And I never really consciously made that choice. I just did it. And when people say I envy you or something, and they feel like, society puts expectations on us of how they feel like, when you're 55 or something, that's it, stop working and retire. Now you can go have a great vacation. Well, when you turn 55, you don't want to have a great vacation. You want to keep working at what you love. But society tells you, no, you can't. Like society tells you, don't be a musician or don't go into the arts because you won't make any money. Well, why should you I can't do computer work. My sister makes a lot of money doing computer work. I can't do that. I'm not built for that. So it's kind of silly to say, like, you kind of fit in and do what they tell you to do and work 9 to 5. And you say, why do you work nights? What's the matter with you? Yeah. I said, well, I was so excited coming to Korea because I said, I finally found my people. Everybody here works all night long. Like I'm texting somebody at 4 a.m. just because I happen to be up. I don't think I'm going to like disturb them. I figure they're sleeping. And then they answer me and we're having a conversation and I'm like, this is so exciting, So I think that when people say I envy you, I think that it's just that, you don't have to be stuck in what people tell you to do. You just need to do what you love and your life will be fine. It's okay. If you love money, then go after money, then stick in a job you don't like, make compromises, whatever, just for the money. But that was never something that I wanted to do. And oftentimes I don't have a lot of things, but I also don't want a lot of things. I just want to enjoy life. And so I think my only advice is say you can do it too. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary as far as I'm concerned. I think that everybody can do that. And there's a song that says, you just have to have the want to. You want to do it, then do it. So I don't see myself as different or exceptional or as privileged or as gifted or anything. I'm just living the life that I love to live. It's not always great. Sometimes it's very lonely and sometimes very difficult not to have the funds. But after a while you go, there's some other things that are in life that are worth it. Life is short, I had my kids and then they turned 18. I was like, wait a minute, where are you going? I just figured out how to be a mom. And now you're like gone?
I just
what do I do now?
To you.
I just figured out, you can, oh yeah, right. No. So, and it went by like that, and now I'm almost 67. I'm going, what? How'd that happen? Like, I feel like everybody I know here in Korea is like between 25 and 35. And I think I'm that age too. Then I look in the mirror, I go, oh, who's that? But you got to just live it. Life is short. It is short. Make the most of it. It's a long-winded answer, but
But it's a valuable answer. Go for what you love. Do what you love. Follow your passion, follow your dreams, and just go straight forward.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people say, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what my dream is. Well, then take a moment and think about it. Everybody's got something. And don't feel bad if your dream was just to raise your children and have good children.
That's right.
And to invest in your children, because that's probably the most important job you could have. The most important dream and passion that you could have. I envy people who just stayed in one place and raised their family and were happy with their families and have big families all around them. I envy that.
They say different strokes for different folks, right? And I really believe in that too. For some people, being, I look at like my grandmother, for example. She has a university degree, decided to be a housewife. Because she wanted to raise my mom and my family that way. So who am I to say that that's the wrong way to go? It's, hey, you wasted your university education. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You used that university education and raised a lot of awesome people.
Right.
With that. So different strokes for different folks. But other people, hey, if you want to, do your thing you want to get a job for Samsung, you want to, do something with, the stock market, whatever it is that you want to do, follow that. And, don't let everybody else dictate what it is that you want to do.
I've learned that everybody is an important piece of the puzzle that keep this world going and keep this world together. We put this every job is important. Every piece of the puzzle, every one of us is one of those pieces. And without it, we wouldn't exist.
That's right. Every job is important, including us foreign actors out there.
That's right.
We matter too. We're also important. Don't forget us.
Foreign actors matter.
All right. I think we're winding down on time. All right. Quick stories.
Cool stories.
Fun memories.
Okay. Here's my fun memory. My first memory going to the training was I was told you're going to go to movie education. And I thought, oh, finally, we're going to figure out what we're doing. We're going to hear that. We're going to sit in the director will be there and we'll hear everything. So I got all dressed up in my dress and everything, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And I ended up in the dojo. You remember that? And I'm like, what's going on? And everybody's like tumbling and falling down and in their gym shorts and everything. And there I was all dressed up. And I said, well, this is stunt training. She said, movie education. Right? And it was stunt training.
Yeah,
well,
that got lost in translation.
That's where the language was a problem. And Max, you remember, I just said, oh, well, I had my long underwear on and I had under my dress and wait, if I got to jump down and spin around and fall down, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and you did great. You were amazing.
I just said, okay, here we go. Everybody was laughing, but...
No. I mean, we were having fun. Like I remember when I just let myself fall to the floor, and I practiced judo for a few years when I was younger. And I was like, oh, this feels nice. Everybody
was like, oh, what was that?
Who's this crazy guy?
Yeah, we all looked at you like, oh my God, what just happened?
You never knew those judo skills were going to come in handy again,
right?
did you?
Yeah, but. I think one of the fondest memories I had was one of the last days of shooting. We were in one of the downtime periods. We were all together, and it was us and a few Korean actors as well, and I felt like we were joking and having fun. Independently of language barriers or culture differences, it was a moment in which all of these extras, came together and were just, chatting around, joking, making dumb stuff.
Yeah, I think we had become a family by then.
Yeah.
We felt very close and it was hard to say goodbye.
Yeah.
We took our last picture and said goodbye. It was difficult. After, those long hours and many days of shooting, you start to really become a family.
Sometimes those relationships are lasting, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep,
Definitely. Yeah. And one other story that happened to me when they said, don't approach the actors or something like that. But I had a picture of Song Joong-ki, looked just like a friend of mine, and I was dying to just show him the picture, And so there was a moment when he was just sitting there, and I brought my phone over. I said, you look just like my friend. And he said, oh, let me see that, He said, oh, yeah, but he's much more handsome than me. and then everybody came running over. It was like, oh, my God. I said, no, it's okay. I'm not taking pictures. No,
And actually, one of the younger actors one day took after we had wrapped up almost everything, we were out of the set. He took one picture with Kim Tae-ri,
right?
Kim Tae-ri, yeah.
And
Oh yeah. Oh my
there
god.
was like we were driving to go eat something, and it like phone started
like a
ringing. It's
tsunami
like,
of- yeah.
who took that picture? Who was that? Take it out. Let me delete it from his phone, and it never left his phone. Right? He didn't post it anywhere. It was on his phone. Somehow somebody got to know that he took a picture with her, and
with her permission, I understood.
Yes,
yeah.
with her permission.
Yeah.
All
But-
hell broke loose.
Wow.
It was a tsunami of like, where, who, where? The phones were ringing off the. It was crazy. Yeah.
Embargoes can be difficult to deal with. I agree.
It's about time for us to wrap up today's podcast. Thank you for Rahel and Max for joining today. And we also thank you who are listening to this through Instagram Live. Thank you, Jack, Rahel, and Max. And updates on our next session will be shared on our Instagram at Creative Soul Sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.